Hello all, we are starting with Unit 12, Lesson 1, Special Quadrilaterals. So I want you to pause the video and answer the do now. Now let's fill in the blanks for these quadrilaterals. A quadrilateral is a four-sided polygon. I drew a four-sided shape here. So right, this is a polygon. A quadrilateral are coplanar and have two diagonals. So what are diagonals? They connect the opposite vertices. So these are the two diagonals, right? And they do intersect at a certain point. The sum of the measures of the four angles of any quadrilateral equals 360 degrees. So remember, all the four angles in the quadrilateral will add up to 360 degrees, no matter what quadrilateral we pick. There are many types of special quadrilaterals. We will be discussing them as we go along in our lesson packet. These quadrilaterals are special because of sides being parallel, and that's the symbol for parallel, or perpendicular, that's an upside down T, or because sides are congruent, and that's the symbol for congruent. All special quadrilaterals have specific characteristics that define them. Let's start with trapezoids. So today we are going to be working on trapezoids. One property about trapezoids that you must memorize. I want you to start this part. A trapezoid is any quadrilateral that has at least one pair of parallel sides, right? We do know parallel sides are sides that do not intersect. So they should have at least one pair of parallel side. Can they have two? Yes, they can have two, meaning they could have one or two. So I want you to pause the video and answer example 1. If any of the figures shown below appear to be a trapezoid, shade them in. So we will be shading this because these are my parallel sides, right? Do you agree? So this is a trapezoid. Then this is a trapezoid. This is a trapezoid because you have at least one pair of parallel sides. We show parallel by arrows. I'm going to do one more. See, I did one arrow here, so it matches. So it's telling me AB is parallel to DC and AD is parallel to BC, right? So let's shade it. That's another one. Then these are also at least one pair. I do have one pair. Actually, I have more than one pair. I have two. So this is a trapezoid. And in this one, these lines are not parallel, remember, because if we extend them, they will intersect somewhere. So it's EF and HG, they are parallel. So this is a trapezoid. These two are not a trapezoid because if I extend any of these line segments, they will intersect at a given point. So now the next thing we are going to talk about is parallelograms. If you carefully analyze this word, it says parallelograms. So it has to have parallel sides, right? Some of the trapezoids we saw on the last page had two pairs of parallel sides. These are known as parallelograms. So parallelograms have exactly two pairs of parallel sides. Please make sure we copy all these notes, right? So quadrilateral ABCD below is a parallelogram. So here I already have written the letters out, but if I was to write the letters, I must always go them in an order. Either I go in clockwise order or counterclockwise. We will discuss more in lesson 2. So it says state the parallel side pairs and mark them on the diagram. Remember, we show parallel sides by arrows. So which sides are parallel? If you want to pause the video, you can very well pause it and then answer. Side AB is parallel to DC. So I'm going to do the same number of arrows. And AD is parallel to BC. So how do we show that using letters? So AB is parallel. That's how you show parallel, right? To what? DC. And AD is parallel to BC. List all angle pairs that must be supplementary. Remember, supplementary, the S should remind you it turns into a 8. So angles that add to 180 degrees. please underline that and write that on top. Right? Supplementary angles. So list all angles. Supplementary means, so this would be supplementary. These two angles, A and D, are supplementary. And then what? B and C are supplementary. Yes? Or I can even say D and C are supplementary. So angle A plus angle B is equal to 180 degrees. So all adjacent angles, can we conclude that all adjacent angles are supplementary? So I can say A plus B is 180, or I can say B plus C is 180. We have to list all of them. It said all. So please read the question carefully. Then C and D, angle C and angle G are 180 degrees. And then also angle D and A. Right? It asked us to list all of them. Give an argument why angle A is congruent to angle C is because opposite angles in a parallelogram are, let's write this down, opposite angles in a parallelogram are congruent. This is one fact that we have to memorize. So let's start the theorem. The theorem says if a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, it has two sets of opposite angles that are congruent. Yes? Let's flip over the page. So now subcategories of parallelogram. We work with parallelograms and their properties in the coming lessons. There are subcategories of parallelograms based on additional properties they possess. They are rectangles. Quadrilaterals have four what? Anyone knows? Let me draw it. Maybe that'll come to your mind, right? A rectangle has opposite sides that are congruent. What can you say about the angles? They're what? They're right angles. So R-I-G-H-T, right? Yes. Rhombuses, or we call them rhombi. Quadrilaterals that have four. Let me draw you a rhombus. It looks like a square, but it's like more like a diamond-shaped thing. Have four congruent sides. It always have four congruent sides. Let's make this right angles. You should be drawing these pictures so it kind of gives you the idea. Four congruent. We're going to use the symbol. If you're confused, you can use the word as well. Squares. Quadrilaterals that have four. So it has all the properties of the rectangle and four congruent sides and the rhombus. Okay, so for each of the following figure shown below, write down the category of shape that it falls into. Many will have multiple categories. So what we're trying to do is we're going to try tell what each shape is. Is it a kite? Is it a trapezoid, parallelogram, rectangle, rhombus, square? So you can pick more than one. Like here, I see it is a rectangle. So we can start with the rectangle. What was the first quadrilateral we learned about? We learned about trapezoid, that it has one pair of parallel sides. Does this have one pair of parallel sides? Yes, it does. So it's a trapezoid also. Does it have two pairs of parallel sides? Yes, it does. So it's a parallelogram also. So this is what we are doing for the rest of the remaining 5 figures. I would highly recommend pause the video and answer those. Okay, let's look at this. It's actually have the parallel sides marked. So it has one pair of parallel sides, two pair of parallel sides. So it's definitely going to be a parallelogram. And of course, it is a trapezoid because the definition of a trapezoid is it has to have at least one pair of parallel sides. So if it has more than one, then it is a trapezoid. This one, it is a rhombus, right? We saw that because it has all 4 congruent sides. Then it has one pair of at least one. Actually, it has 2 pair of parallel sides, but since it has one, we're going to say it's trapezoid, and then also a parallelogram. Please check your answers. We've really not discussed much about isosceles trapezoid and kite. I will give you a brief statement about it, and we'll discuss them in detail later on in the lessons. So a trapezoid is one which has at least one set of parallel sides, which is here. But these are called the legs. I'm going to write them down for you. These are called the legs. If your legs are congruent, then it is called an isosceles trapezoid. Okay? And kite, it is these sides are congruent and these sides are congruent. That's what a kite is. Okay? It is not a trapezoid. It's not a parallelogram because none of the sides are parallel. Right? So that's what it is. So for the remaining of the period, you must get started on your homework. So your homework is to finish this. Must show all work. Even for your multiple choice, please make sure must show work. Okay, so for number 3, I'm going to help you a little bit. It's telling you about the two angles. You must read it, the whole question. It's saying it's a trapezoid with the parallel sides that are marked, right? What do you know about these two angles, adjacent angles? Go back into your lesson and see, set up an equation and solve for x. That's what you're going to be doing, right? Be careful when you're reading these. This one is telling you which statement is incorrect. Okay, so number 5, I will just help you set it up. It is saying that you don't have to actually draw a picture. It's good to draw a picture. It's telling you just one angle. What do you know about the angles in a rectangle? Think about it. So what would you set it equal to? So you always have to have an equation because you're solving it for an x value and then go from there. Okay? Again, rhombus, what do you know about the sides? These are the sides, right? So please make sure, what do you know about the sides of the rhombus? What's the relationship? And that will help you come up with the equation. For number 7, again, it's giving you the angles, right? When it's in degrees, it's the angles. Please know the difference between the sides and the angles. These are your angles. What do you know about adjacent angles in a parallelogram? We did cover that in the lesson, so please go back and check it out or watch the video again. It will help you. So I will check your homework tomorrow, and also make sure, don't forget to do the blue book, the geometry homework, right? Follow the calendar. If you've lost it, it is on Canvas. Have a great day, guys.